Your cat has feelings, not the simple kind. Not just hungry, sleepy, playful. Real feelings. Complex ones. The kind that can be bruised without a single mark left behind. And the worst part is, most of the things that hurt your cat emotionally are things you do out of love. You're not being cruel. You're not neglecting them. You're doing what feels natural as a human. But your cat isn't a human. And what feels like affection to you can feel like something completely different to them. These 9 things are happening in homes everywhere, every day. Some of them you'll recognize immediately. Some of them will shock you. And at least one of them, I promise, is something you did today without having any idea what it cost your cat. 1. You laugh when they're scared, a cucumber behind them while they eat, a sudden noise that makes them leap 3 feet in the air, that panicked scramble across the floor when something startles them. It looks funny. The internet has turned these moments into content that gets millions of views. And in your own home, when your cat gets spooked by something harmless, your first reaction is probably to laugh. You don't mean anything by it. You know they're not in real danger. But here's what's happening on your cat's side of that moment. Their nervous system just fired a full fight-or-flight response. Adrenaline surged, their heart rate spiked to nearly double its resting rate. Every muscle in their body tensed for either combat or escape. That's not a funny moment for them. That's a survival event. And in the seconds after it happens, while their system is still flooded with stress hormones, they look to their environment for cues. Is this place safe? Was that a real threat? And what they see is you, the person they trust most in the world, making a sound they associate with something being amusing. They can't understand laughter, but they can read your energy. And what registers is that in their moment of genuine fear, you were relaxed, even entertained. Over time, this creates a subtle disconnection, not dramatic, not a broken bond, but a small crack in the foundation that says you might not take their fear seriously. And a cat who feels that their fear isn't taken seriously starts handling fear alone. They stop looking to you for reassurance. They stop running toward you when something scares them. They run away from everything, including you. 2. You stare at them with wide eyes. You're lying on the couch. Your cat walks in. You see them and your eyes go wide with that involuntary expression of adoration. Maybe you open your mouth a little. Maybe you make a high-pitched sound. To any human, that face says, "I love you so much." To your cat, that face says something very different. In the feline world, wide eyes and a direct stare are a threat signal. It's what a predator looks like the moment before it attacks. Dilated pupils, locked gaze, no blinking. That's not affection in cat language. That's confrontation. Your cat doesn't know you're being loving. They know that a creature 15 times their size just locked eyes with them in a way that every instinct in their body reads as dangerous. Most cats tolerate this because they've learned over time that you don't actually follow through. But tolerating something and feeling safe during it are not the same thing. Every time you flash those wide, adoring eyes at your cat, there's a small part of their brain that tenses, a micro-stress event they've learned to endure because they love you. But enduring is not the same as enjoying. The fix is something we've talked about before, but it matters more than ever in this context. When you look at your cat with love, show it the way they understand. Soft eyes, slow blink, relaxed face. That's what love looks like in their language. And the difference between wide eyes and soft eyes, to your cat, is the difference between a threat and a home. 3. You pet them when they don't ask for it. This one is going to be hard to hear because it challenges the most basic instinct every cat owner has. You see your cat, you love your cat, you reach out and touch them. What could possibly be wrong with that? Everything, depending on the timing. Cats are one of the few domesticated animals that have a strong, consistent need for consent before physical contact. Not every cat, not every time, but far more often than most owners realize. When you reach down and start petting your cat without any invitation from their side, you're initiating contact on your terms. And for a cat, uninvited touch, no matter how gentle, activates a stress response that ranges from mild discomfort to genuine anxiety. You've seen the signs without knowing what they were. A tail that starts flicking after 30 seconds of petting, ears that rotate slightly backward, skin that ripples along their back, a sudden turn of the head toward your hand, not to nuzzle but to monitor. These are not signs of enjoyment. These are signs of a cat who is tolerating something they didn't choose. The habit that changes everything is the finger test. Before every touch, extend one finger toward your cat's nose. Let them close the distance. Let them sniff. Let them decide. If they push their face into your hand, you have permission. If they pull back or simply don't move forward, that's their answer, and that answer deserves respect. Every single time. 4. You punish them for being a cat. Your cat knocked a glass off the counter. Your cat scratched the couch. Your cat jumped on the kitchen table for the 4th time today. And you raised your voice, or sprayed water, or picked them up and put them somewhere else with obvious frustration. Here's what your cat understood from that interaction. Nothing. Absolutely nothing about what they did wrong. Cats do not connect punishment with past actions. Their brains don't work that way. The glass that fell 3 seconds ago is already a separate event from the yelling happening now. What they do connect is this. The person they trust just became unpredictable. The environment just became hostile, and whatever safety they felt in that moment just cracked. Every time you yell at your cat, spray them, or physically move them with frustration, you're not teaching a lesson. You're making a deposit into an invisible account of mistrust. And that account has a balance your cat checks every time they consider walking toward you instead of away from you. Cats don't learn from punishment. They learn from environment. If you don't want them on the counter, make the counter uninteresting. If you don't want them scratching the couch, give them something better to scratch. Redirect, don't punish. Because a cat who's been punished doesn't become better behaved, they become better at hiding. And a cat who hides from you has already started grieving a bond they thought was safe. 5. You move them when they're comfortable. Your cat found the perfect spot. Maybe it's on your laptop. Maybe it's in the middle of your bed. Maybe it's on the one chair you were about to sit in, and instead of adjusting, you pick them up and move them. To you, it's a 2-second inconvenience. To your cat, it's an eviction. Cats invest heavily in their resting spots. Before they settle, they've already assessed the temperature, the elevation, the proximity to exits, the scent, and the safety of the location. When they finally lie down and close their eyes, they're not just resting. They've committed to a judgment call that this place, right now, is the best possible option. When you override that decision, you're telling them their judgment doesn't matter. It's not dramatic. They won't hold a grudge for hours. But repeated often enough, it teaches your cat that no spot is truly theirs. And a cat who believes no spot is safe to commit to becomes a cat who never fully relaxes in your presence. The next time your cat takes your seat, try something. Go somewhere else. Let them have it. That small act of yielding communicates something enormous. It says your comfort matters here. And a cat who believes their comfort matters in your space will eventually choose to share that space with you voluntarily, which is worth more than any chair. 6. You don't play with them the right way. You bought the toys. You dangle them. You wave them around. And your cat just sits there, staring at you like you're embarrassing yourself. That's not your cat being lazy or uninterested. That's your cat being deeply, profoundly bored by a hunt that feels nothing like a real hunt. A cat's play drive is wired directly into their predatory sequence. Stalk, chase, pounce, catch, kill, eat. Every step matters. Skip one, and the whole experience falls flat. Most owners wave a toy back and forth in the same rhythm, at the same height, with the same speed. That's not prey. That's a pendulum, and no cat in history has ever felt fulfilled catching a pendulum. Real play means making the toy act afraid. Drag it away from your cat, never toward them. Let it disappear behind furniture. Make it freeze in panic, then dart. Move it in bursts that mimic something small and terrified. When your cat's body drops low, pupils dilate, and their rear end starts to wiggle, you've activated 40 million years of predatory instinct. And the person who gives them that experience doesn't just become a playmate. They become the most important part of their day. But here's the part that hurts without you realizing it. A cat who never gets a real hunt becomes frustrated. That frustration has nowhere to go. It becomes restlessness, aggression toward other pets, excessive grooming, or a slow withdrawal from interaction. You look at your cat and think they're just calm and independent. But underneath, they're starving for something you have the power to give them every single day for 5 minutes. And you're giving them a pendulum instead. 7. You bring new scents home without warning. You visited a friend who has a dog. You picked up a stray cat on the street and held it for 30 seconds. You went to a place with strong, unfamiliar smells and came home carrying all of them on your clothes. To you, this is invisible. To your cat, you just walked through the door wearing someone else's identity. Cats rely on scent more than any other sense to define their world. Your shared scent, the one you and your cat have built together through weeks and months of living in the same space, is their proof that you belong to each other. When you come home covered in the scent of another animal, especially another cat, it's not just confusing, it's destabilizing. Your cat may sniff you intensely. They may refuse to come near you. They may hiss at you, which most owners take as random aggression. It's not aggression, it's distress. The person who smells like them, who smells like home, suddenly smells like a stranger. And until that scent is corrected, until they've rubbed against you enough to overwrite the foreign markers, there's a gap in their sense of security that feels far bigger to them than it looks to you. You can't avoid this completely, but you can make it easier. When you come home carrying unfamiliar scents, let your cat approach you first. Don't pick them up. Don't force contact. Sit down, offer your hand, and let them do the work of reclaiming you. That process, that rescenting, isn't just grooming. It's your cat rebuilding the bond that felt for a moment like it had been shared with someone else. 8. You ignore their slow blinks. This is the one that costs nothing to fix, and yet almost every owner gets wrong every single day. Your cat looks at you from across the room and slowly closes their eyes. That's not sleepiness. That's a love letter. A deliberate, conscious communication that says, I trust you completely. And most of the time, you don't even notice. You're on your phone, you're watching something, you're in your own world, and your cat's message goes unanswered. Now, a cat won't stop trying after one missed blink. Bonded cats are remarkably persistent communicators, but over time, if those blinks are consistently unreciprocated, the frequency decreases. Your cat doesn't stop loving you, but they stop trying to tell you in the one way they know how. Think about what that means from their side. Imagine saying I love you to someone every day and never getting a response, not a rejection, just silence. Eventually, you'd stop saying it, not because you stopped feeling it, because the absence of a reply makes the act feel pointless. Your cat goes through this quietly, without drama, without resentment. They simply close that channel and carry the feeling alone. Tonight, watch for it. When your cat looks at you, slow blink back. Every time. It takes less than 2 seconds and it tells your cat that the one message they've been sending has finally been received. 9. You don't say goodbye. You leave the house every day, for work, for errands, for whatever life demands. And most of the time, you just leave. Door opens, door closes. You're gone. Your cat is standing somewhere in the house and the person who defines their entire world just disappeared without a word. You might think they don't care. Cats are independent, right? They're fine on their own. But here's what research tells us. Cats living with bonded owners show measurably elevated stress markers during the first 30 minutes of separation. Their cortisol rises, their activity patterns shift. Some vocalize in ways they never do when you're home. They're not fine, they're adjusting. And that adjustment is harder when the departure is abrupt. A simple goodbye ritual changes this significantly. Not a long, dramatic farewell. Just a moment. Crouch down to their level. Offer your hand. Let them sniff. Give them a slow blink. Say something in that soft voice they recognize as yours. This takes 10 seconds. But those 10 seconds give your cat something crucial. A transition. A signal that says I'm leaving, but I'm coming back. And this is not an emergency. A cat who gets a consistent goodbye ritual before every departure shows lower stress markers, less vocalization during absence, and more relaxed behavior upon the owner's return. Not because they understand the words, because they understand the pattern. And patterns are how cats make sense of a world they can't control. You are the center of their world, and every time you vanish from it without warning, a small part of them absorbs that silence and wonders, just for a moment, if the world is still working the way it should. 10 seconds, a hand, a blink, a voice. That's all it takes to make sure they never have to wonder.